Well, today the Cubs, they were living by the long ball, and that's all they were doing. And they were living high on the hog. They clinched the series win versus Arizona, and it's all about hitting it farther than they built the fence. Yep, the Cubs now 10-2 when they score 5 or more runs, and they're 9-1 when they leave the yard more than 2 times. And we saw it today, back-to-back fashion. Seiya Suzuki, Michael Busch, they were getting loose in the bottom of the second, and that will put a cap on the scoring. 6-2, that is all the Cubs needed. They did that scoring early and often, and then they let everyone else lock in. Some football chest bumps right there. That's what happens when you're out there on a torrid tear. And with that said, welcome on in. This is Cubs Postgame Live, presented by Yuengling, America's oldest brewery. I'm Cole Wright. That's Elise Menaker. Floyd is here. And how about the energy at Wrigley Field? Back-to-back days, and the ball, it sure was flying out of there.
I mean, this team is fun to watch. They win. They beat good teams. This is supposed to be the hardest stretch in their schedule. Coming up, they're going to play the last 3 NL champions, and it's right now, the way it's starting out.
A big whoop.
Yeah, right? Sure, no problem. I mean, yesterday wasn't necessarily no problem, but they're winning in different ways. They're finding their
21 runs after the 7th inning.
You were definitely not nervous at all. Yes.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But how about the way that the bats jumped all over Zach Gallen? His last 2 starts at Wrigley, he was very economical. 14 innings, just 6 hits sprinkled in, 0 earnings. But today, they made him feel like he was at Chase Field, didn't they?
Well, you know what? I wrote down the middle of the order was they dominated Zach Gallen. 4 hits, 6 ribbies, 2 bombs, Tucker, Suzuki, Busch. You can throw in Dan's. We got a couple of knocks there, including a double. So this is what you want from the middle of the order. We talked about 7, 8, 9, how they held down the fort as well. But when you look at, just keeping the pressure on that pitcher consistently from the start of the game, it does something to the mindset of that pitcher warming up to get ready for a game. I promise you, it just puts him in a position where he has to try to kind of perfect, and they're making mistakes after mistakes. And the one big thing, the Cubs are missing their pitchers. That's bottom line what it's been. It's been fun to watch. We're talking about no chase, but how about hitting the pitch that you should hit? How about connecting and not fouling them off or missing them or striking out? Like today was a prime example of how good this team is, and they literally hitting on all cylinders right now, offensively.
With that ironclad approach in the batter's box, they have been psyche breakers. Yeah. When you take a look at those opposing pitchers out there on the hill, they don't know what to do at every single turn of the corner. And one of those guys who's been living rent-free in the opposition's head, well, it's Michael Busch. He's been Mr. Productivity as of late, and we saw him do it again today. And here he is right now. He's catching up with T-Mac.
Thanks so much, Cole. Michael, for you guys to get going offensively in the first inning, how important was that after giving up a run in the top of the first?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when Zach's on the mound over there, he's a good pitcher. And, just to get after him, have good at-bats like we did, get his pitch count up and, get on base, drive the ball, all of it, I think it was huge just to kind of extend that lead.
What did you see from Seiya in the home run right before you?
I was actually kind of just locked. Usually I'm kind of locked in on my timing, but I was just locked in the at-bat, and it was pretty cool just to watch it go in and then obviously watch it go out a little harder.
Obviously, yesterday was an interesting one when it came to the bullpen. What did you think of the work the group did collectively to lock down the back end of this game? Yeah, that's it's a key component of winning a lot of baseball games is, when one area of the game is kind of lacking, the other one kind of picks it up. So, the bats kind of came back yesterday and helped us out, but pitching staff 2 runs against a great offense I think was huge. Thank you, Michael. Cole?
Well, we said Michael Busch has been the personification of production, and as of late, we saw him today, bottom of the first. He drove in, tuck, bottom of the second. Elise, as you like to call it affectionately, a bombski. That made it 6-1 at that point, and Michael Busch, we talked about it with Cliff, his ability to stay in that strike zone and keep his balance on point. It's one of the reasons why he's one of the most dangerous hitters in the league.
Yeah, coming off of a strong rookie season, I mean, he really just trusts himself, is very confident, makes minor tweaks here and there, but all in all, you can just tell he's an athletic, solid player. I like what he said about just watching Seiya's at bat. Like normally he's trying to work on his timing in the on-deck circle, but the way this team is hitting right now, they're just kind of enjoying each other's success, and they're figuring out things from watching each other. And so they're taking advantage of mistakes. They're not missing their pitches, like Cliff said, and they're capitalizing. They're getting their slug. They're getting their hits. They're feeding off each other.
So he hit 248 last year, right? You think about that, and now he's hitting for a high average. Last month he's been raking. I think the big thing with Michael Busch is now he understands the adjustments to the adjustments. I say that to say this. When you get to the point where you're adjusting to the pitchers, now they have to adjust to you. That's when you start to really do some damage. He's that good, right? When you think about Michael Busch and what he brings to the table, he's going to be a guy in this game for a long time, hopefully playing for the Cubs and doing his thing. But when we talked about in pregame, average. Like 248 is not a good average, right? As far for a guy who can hit. Like for certain dudes, absolutely. You want to live in that lane, cool. For Michael Busch, he can hit to foul pole to foul pole. Yes. I mean, left field to right field. He can do it all. So when you have that type of potential, then you shouldn't be down hitting 240. You should be where he's at right now. Is he going to hit over 400? Probably not. But he should be around that 300 range and 25 to 30 homers. I think that's where he lives.
Yeah, when you have a guy who is such an efficient hitter like Michael Busch, you know that he is shooting for average. And when you hit for average, when you can put the bat on the ball like that, all the good things, they will follow suit. Doubles, long balls. And we saw it today. Certainly following suit, it was Michael Busch right after Seiya Suzuki. And those guys, well, when they're able to tune some up right there, that's what you want to see right in the thick of that lineup. I know that hits, they help you win games, but that slug, that's what the league's all about these days, Elise.
Look, you're never going to turn down slug.
No, I don't think
score runs in a bunch in a hurry, and so that's the fun part of this team, where that they can score in different ways. You can watch each game and you can pick out at bats and moments, and then there's moments like this where I looked at the bottom of the order that you were highlighting, Cliff. Like when this was happening, to me, the bottom of the order set at the top did the damage. Okay. And Seiya, I feel like this year, because of the way the lineup is hitting and you add Tucker, the pressure is taken off of him because you're not looking at Seiya to be a majority of the slug in this lineup. That now you can look in multiple places, but I think he just likes to be able to go out and do his thing, especially in the new DH role, not feel like I've got to produce all the offense because that's all I have to do today. And so I think that's why you're also seeing just a strong, healthy, calm Seiya, because the way everyone's hitting, the position he's in, and how the bottom of the order is putting the top in spots where they want to thrive.
Yeah, it's such a hard role, though.
It is very hard.
I've tried it. Listen, it wasn't for me. I'm glad I played in the National League my whole career because when it was asked of me, I was just like, man, I was lost, right? So when you see him missing fastballs, you say, why is he missing them? Even me questioning it, from the outside looking in on the tube. I'm a fan, too, and I'm like, man, how are you missing these fastballs? You don't have the adrenaline rush. You're trying to find something consistently to put you in a position to go out there and go, I can't miss this 95 or 92 with Zach throwing 92 today, but Zach got down into the wheelhouse and got hurt today by a fastball. But these are the things that goes around the league. The league is taking notes saying, well, he can't hit a fastball. Maybe it's because he's DHing. Let's keep challenging him. So Seiya has to make that adjustment, to like understanding that they're going to challenge with fastballs a lot more, just because of the simple fact that they see the bat is that tick slower than it's been in the past when he's been really good.
Yeah, a player like Seiya Suzuki and Michael Busch, they become just that much more threatening when you have one big-time threat in the lineup. And that threat for the Chicago Cubs, obviously, is Kyle Tucker, one of the most elite hitters and players all around Major League Baseball. Another threat that we saw out there on the field this afternoon, well, it was a man who came in, he was throwing straight petrol. Daniel Palencia, 101 like it was no big deal, but not to take away from anything Brad Keller and Caleb Thielbar were able to do. But the bullpen, they look sharp as a tack today, Elise.
Yeah, especially after the day that the bullpen had yesterday. It was really refreshing and nice to see them shut down a good hitting D-backs lineup. You were highlighting Palencia. I like the fact that he went back out there, too. For Palencia, it's about throwing strikes for him, limiting the walks. And in general for this bullpen, that is when they've gotten into trouble. They come in, they're not getting ahead of hitters, but when they are good and they're at their best, they're just attacking. And so that's how they can also feed off each other, help each other in that. What do you do with that?
Yeah, well,
more of that, please.
The big thing with the bullpen is you got to give them love when they do well, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw all the tweets and all the stuff that was out there on social media, and it's like, man, you're crushing these guys, and they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out their roles. Palencia will help. Brazier, when he gets back, will help. Miller, when he gets there. Javier Saa, when he gets back, you can do some different things. But for the most part, other than Corbin Carroll, there's only one other hit. That's Tim Tawa. Did I say it right?
Tawa.
There it is. Tawa got the bomb in the last inning.
Light Tawa power.
Light Tawa power. And, other than that, it was 3 hits by Corbin Carroll. So all around, good pitching performance, even though Ben wasn't on his game like we would like to see Ben.
Got out of jams and did a nice job of making the best outing he could out of that.
That's right.
Yeah,
you
not
know
bad.
how the saying goes, the pen is mightier than the sword. And today that rang true out there because the guys that came out of the bullpen when those barn doors swung open, they were absolutely electric. Only one free pass, and you can do that when you're throwing triple digits, just like Daniel Palencia. So let's check in with the skipper. Here's Craig with more on the relief crew.
Yeah, those guys were great. Caleb Thielbar, all of them. But Thielbar, I thought, going 6 up, 6 down, and really kind of put the game in a good place for us, and put the rest of the bullpen in a good position. And they all just attacked the zone with strikes. It's a team that they don't chase very much, and they're good at that. And our bullpen today just attacked the zone and did a fabulous job with that. Yeah, you talk about it a lot, and it's like these starters, they haven't been out there. Like sometimes the best time to get them is those first 2 innings before they settled in. They haven't been out on the mound for 5 days. We did it. That's pretty much exactly what we did. Made him work hard for the first 2 innings. He never got comfortable kind of for the first time and a half through the lineup. And then he settled in, and he was really tough. That's how you got to beat some of these guys. Yeah, I mean, he's a good hitter. I think he's a young hitter. He had a really successful year last year, and I think he's the goal is that put 500 plate appearances under your belt, learn from him. Just get a little better from him, understand what you have to be a little bit better at, and I think he's went through the off season into spring training and made him just shrink your hole just a little bit and get yourself able to hit a couple more pitches in the zone, expand your good part of the zone. He's done a nice job of it.
Brown battled through those 4 innings, but what's the missing element right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit is just some against this team. Like when you throw a non-competitive, the pitches, you're not going to get a lot of swings out of the. I mean, Ben can get swings out of the strike zone as well as anybody that we have, but you're going to get less against this team, and so they're going to make you earn every out. And he struggled with that a little bit today. He made pitches when he had to. I thought he got going. He got kind of punched in the face a little bit. It was a little wobbly in the first inning, but it got better as he went. And he battled, and he kept runs off the board the last 3 innings. So credit to him for just kind of battling through it. But he had to throw a lot of pitches to do it. No question. And I think they're a part of that. And just being around the strike zone. The breaking ball is a tough pitch that. It says you just throw it for a strike. It's not always that easy. It's a good breaking ball. That's why he gets a lot of swings on it.
What did you think about Ben Johnson's first pitch?
I thought it was pretty good. I hope he told Brad that was coming because that was some gas.
What was your reaction like?
He came in the office before the game and met his family. Great, beautiful young family. Feels kind of weird saying that, but and then he. He's just, it's all in front of him. That's what's kind of cool, and so that's what you kind of think when meeting him. You're thinking you got a great future in front of you, and you got a lot in front of you, and you got challenges in front of you, but you got a lot of fun in front of you, and I know he's already fell in love with the city of Chicago, and looking forward to the draft and getting started. But it was fun meeting his family, and wish him all the best.
What do you think about Syria? Yesterday a 1 last run, and today it's 2 runs after 2 out.
Yeah, I mean, I just think those big swings. Seiya has the ability, so much power, right? He just hits the ball so hard, and he feels like he's in a spot where he's just doing a little better job driving the ball and getting a pitch and driving it, and the ability to just put runs on the board fast. Certainly something he's capable of doing.
Thank you, Craig.
The nail on the head on Seiya as well as Ben Johnson, the Bears' new head coach. He is locked in, Cubs fan, and he could give Craig an inning or two. That first pitch, unbelievable. No disrespect to Matt Eberflus, but that man had no pop on his heater. Ben Johnson, yeah, you know what he's looking to do. Hopefully that will be translatable once the season gets underway, and they'll be able to celebrate a whole bunch of Chicago Bear wins. And speaking of a celebration, we're having one right around these parts because Craig Counsell, he nails down his 50th victory as the skipper of the Chicago Cubs. He is now 50-39. That is what you want to see, and we want to see him continue to stack those W's.